Hey, it's Mike from 424recording.com. In today's video, we're asking the question, why do people like 4-track cassette recorders? I enjoy cassette 4-track recorders because of the fact that I have to commit to what I'm working on when I'm working on one. I only have 4 tracks on the tape, which there are workarounds for this, of course, but as you get further into your song, you have to make choices about what your song is going to sound like, where things are going to sit in the mix, what kind of EQ settings you want on certain tracks. And as you're going along, you have to commit to those changes in your mix. Now, you can save your mix at each stage of the game, bouncing it out, bouncing it back in, but committing to choices early on and, going back to re-record parts is sort of an impossibility because say the first track you go back and realize you want to re-record something, it's kind of tough to do that. So, and B, the format doesn't really lend itself to punching in and punching out or one takes, or I like to try to do one takes of performances. So I think along with commitment, it makes me a better musician and also engineer and recorder. 4-track cassette recording, along with the idea of having to commit to your mix, also lends itself to needing to get what you want to sound right at the source when you're recording, rather than going back to fix it in the mix. This is because the 4-track is pretty limited in what you can do on it. The 424 and 414 only have, well, the 414 only has 2 EQ adjustments, and the 424 technically has 4, but 2 of those are mid-range EQs that work together. So you're also just limited in how you go about fixing it in the mix on a cassette 4-track, and it's also just not really possible to do that. So you have to decide and commit to your sounds at the source when you're recording a drum kit, when you're going for guitar sounds, and figure out, well, do I need more treble? Do I need more bass? Do I need more mids on this guitar sound? I always say that I'm just very lazy when it comes to recording. I don't want to have to do much mixing in post. I like to do a lot of my mixing before I even start recording, and I think the reason for this is because of my extensive use over the years of the 4-track cassette machine. Because I mix in the box, but I just don't like doing it that much, and I don't like spending a lot of time doing that. To me, the most exciting part about recording is the tracking phase and getting the sounds and capturing those sounds that you really want. That's super exciting to me. And I look at mixing as just another way to enhance the sounds that I've already tracked, rather than completely mutate and distort them. I'd rather mutate and distort them before I even record them. So laziness is a virtue after all. You're not looking at a computer screen. Look, Mom, no screen. There's an emphasis on using your ears over your eyes because, as I've mentioned in other videos, and I think some other rants, or maybe another rant, that there's an emphasis on using your ears over your eyes because you're not looking at a computer screen. And after all, music is a auditory format. You can get so wrapped up in what things look like on a screen, what waveforms look like, and it's not like somebody is viewing your song as a painting or as a picture. They're just listening to it at the end stage. And I find it hard to really separate myself sometimes from the waves and the waveforms and making things perfect and cutting things and making them, into some symmetrical looking picture or something on my computer screen. Whereas the 4-track, it's all about the tape. It's all about listening. It's all about your ears. It's all about using your ears to determine what something should sound like. And I think that's ultimately why using a cassette 4-track and the songs that I make on the cassette 4-track sound better to me, because I use my ears to develop those songs rather than using my eyes. And also, as I saw an interview with Mac DeMarco, who is known to use reel-to-reels and cassette 4-tracks, and I believe, to paraphrase him, he said, "Get your head out of that Ableton shit." There's a certain beauty to limitations and keeping things simple. Some people kind of scoff at this idea of simplicity, or will downplay things that are simple, or people can be really pretentious about things that are very simple if they're not complex enough. But I think, I don't know, for me, simplicity is key, and that's also why I like the 4-track, because it's a very simple machine at the heart of it. It's just a mixer and a cassette recorder. And I think the real goal is, if you can't make a simple song sound good, how are you supposed to make a complex song sound better? I see this in people a lot, in other musicians, and maybe it's just their own personal taste or whatever, but I used to try to do things more on a more complex level, but I think that's, for me, the wrong place to start, because if I can't make something simple, how can I possibly expect to make something complex? If you can't boil down your idea to the nuts and bolts of what that idea is and work on making that the best it can be, the foundation of your song, how do you expect a more complex creation to be better, or to, nobody clips the simpler stuff. I think simple is always good. Keep it simple, stupid. It hurts my feelings every time, but it's good to keep in mind. There's something about creating within boundaries and limitations that can push your creativity further. And you know, the classic cliche, you gotta know the rules before you break them, right? And obviously that you can always break limitations and go beyond them, but having those limitations to start and working within a box, I think is crucial for the eventual thinking outside of the box. And the fifth reason I think people enjoy 4-track cassette recorders are for the visceral experience of using a 4-track cassette recorder. It's got a lot of knobs and things you can twist, faders you can slide, and a tape transport you can mess around with, and also not to mention the pitch wheel. I think as humans we evolve to crave visceral tactile experiences, especially when it comes to our instruments. You know, modern computing is all about the separation of man from machine and man from reality. The internet, for better or worse, is a reality in which we can't physically touch it. It's something that we have to access via a computer that I think some people would argue almost doesn't exist. There's a big difference between just using a touch screen to move some knobs with your finger and also just physically grabbing a knob and twisting it. It's not the same experience, and I don't think anybody would argue that it is. The tape is real, the sound is real, and you really get to touch things. A couple honorable mentions as to why people like 4-track cassette recorders are the pitch wheel is really fun to mess around with. I think tape hiss can make or break certain recordings, and it's just fun. I want to thank everybody who replied to my post on the forum at 424recording.com/forum about why do you like your 4-track cassette recorder. I took a lot of the things you guys said into consideration when making this video, and also I just want to thank all you guys again for your input, and thanks for helping me make this video. Whether you realize it or not, you helped out. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you nerd. Godspeed, my friend. This is Mike from 424recording.com. Why do you think people like 4-track recorders? Leave a comment below. Peace!